it's MK, and I am here with a Messy Monday layout for you guys today, and I am also playing along with Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches, and today's sketch is by Kim Moore, and I'm only going to make a single page layout because I have just this one photo that I've already previously matted. It was supposed to go on another layout, but it just did not fit, and since it was laying on my desk, I decided to go ahead and have almost like a title layout for this little trip that I took with my best friend. I also have these little scraps here that were from it was a Chasing Adventures, I believe, from Celebrate. And then this was also from Chasing Adventures from Celebrate. It looks a lot like 49 and Market's Wonderlust collection, but they are two different companies. The same designer designed them, and they are different pieces. So if you have both pieces, you have almost like a double collection. It's really cool. This paper here is from my collection that I created back in February, January, somewhere in there, and it is going to make a comeback for Black Friday, just to let you guys know that. And then these are the stamps that I will be using. This one is a single stamp from All in Create. I have a couple mishmash stamps from Stampin' Up, and then that other one was I believe a Redefine Creative stamp that was created. And then I have this Close to My Heart stamp. I really liked this Let's Explore Explorer or something down at the bottom. I'm not really sure, but yeah, I've got that. And then from the Insta Life stamp set, I'm going to use a couple pieces from this one, and they are both close to my heart. Here are the inks that I'm going to be using: Bundled Sage, Speckled Egg, and Vintage Photo for my Messy Monday. And then I'm going to use a spray. Now this one is Old Paper, and I love how this oxide spray looks when I use it. You just can't get this color on paper. New to me, I have this stencil from Arden Creative Studio. It is made by Katie Petite, and it's just called Distressed Titles. And I'm going to be using this texture paste, embossing paste, I guess is what they call it, from Stampin' Up! With my Altenew metal spatula, because I am in love with the metal spatulas more than I am with the little plastic ones that I have been using, you guys. I apologize about that, but I always wanted a metal spatula just to give it a try, and I'm in love. Okay, so here's my idea-ish. I'm not really sure if I'm going to use this grid piece or what I'm going to use it for. I know I want to double map my photo just to lighten up the edges a little bit, but I love the print and all the color on the other side. So I don't know if I'll be able to get it to work. And then with this little scrap that I have that is from Vicki Boutin, I'm going to go ahead and add it to the side of my little strip here. So in Kim's sketch, it looks like she has 3 or 4 different patterns of paper running vertically across her layout and stretching across 2 pages. Well, I'm going to rotate one of her pages and have my papers going up and down, because that's the design that I have. That was my largest piece that I had, was a map paper, and it was going up and down, and it would have looked weird going left and right. So I'm just going to rotate it just a little bit, rotate her sketch just a little bit, a full 90 degrees. So that way I can get the sketch to work for my photo, as well as also to create a design. Now, I love sketches like this because it is a blueprint for a creative mind. You can definitely get a lot going, and for me, I am going to make a messy background because there is so much white space left over on this sketch. Now, what I'm doing with my frame is I inked it in Speckled Egg, and then I tapped it with the Vintage Photo, so that way I got a 2-tone frame, or it looked like a dirty frame. Then I'm going to go ahead and stamp on and stamp off. This is called second generation stamping, at least in some companies. That's what they call it. And that way I get a lighter imprint of the Vintage Photo instead of its full extent of I'm here and I'm brown and I'm dark, right? I didn't want dark brown. So I'm going to go ahead and just stamp. And when I random stamp like this, I start with my largest stamp, and then I work my way up to the smallest stamp. And so I'm using the bundled sage for this really cool label frame. I love these types of stamps because then I can stamp them in any color that I own, as well as end up with, fussy cutting them out because they're super easy. They're not weird tickety corners. They're actually just straight corners. And so a couple straight edge cuts and you've got a really cool label to put in your stash, and it's a decent size. So I love stamps like this. And then without a block, I am going to just rock and roll this stamp here. So I've got lots of different stamping techniques that I am doing. I have a straight on stamp, I've got a second generation stamp, I have a kissed stamp, and now I have the rock and roll stamps that I'm doing here, which is basically blockless stamping because I just want a little bit of the imprint. I don't want the whole thing to be imprinted. So I absolutely, I'm sorry, I keep saying it, but I do. I love my stamping like that. Okay, so I'm going to use the back side of my paper to spray on my spray on my stencil. And then while it is wet, I'm actually going to run my white texture paste through my stencil so I get a colored texture. This is the easiest, simplest way to get a colored texture paste from white texture paste without needing a messy mat at all. You just spray it on your stencil, wipe your white or clear embossing paste, texture paste through your stencil, and bam, it is instantly colored for you with a very less mess. Now, I did end up getting a little bit on my messy mat or my glass mat, but it is a-okay because of the fact that I can just wipe it up. If you do have, if you don't have a glass mat, then, protect your surface for easy cleanup. But that was the best way. Instead of putting a bunch of paste on your messy mat and then mixing it up with the color and then potentially not having the exact amount of color needed for your areas that you want to end up coloring. And then you have to try to mix it again and try to get the same color. So it's again, another a quick and easy way to get colored texture paste without making a big, huge mess. I did actually end up going to my my sink and washing my mat right away because I don't like texture paste to dry on my stencils. I don't mind inks on my stencils, but when it comes to texture paste, I do go and wash them because I love every single stencil I own. Sometimes it's hard to pick and choose which stencil I want to use on a layout. Really, it is. Okay, so here I'm waiting for my paper to dry. And when I'm waiting for my paper to dry and I still want to be creative, I actually just start building things up and looking to see how they look. Again, I was trying to get this color to be added to my layout, but truth be told, it just didn't, it was too much color. As much as I wanted it, it was just too much color. So I will end up not using it as many times as I try to add it to the layout. It does not make it to the layout. So I am distressing my edges, so that way everything looks like it was meant to be, not perfect. That is one of the reasons why I absolutely love distressing my edges, because if you can't glue a straight line and if you can't lay down in a straight line, the messy edge covers it all up. It is meant to look crooked and wonky and, well, distressed. To be honest. So one of my Vicky Bouton papers was on the longer side because I just ripped it in half. So I did end up cutting that off and I did throw it away. I know, I threw a scrap away. It's okay. I feel like I got my use out of all of these papers. Excuse my frog in the throat. I'm going to give him a name one of these days, I promise. So yes, I did end up throwing some of my papers away. However, I was okay with that because I felt like I got all the use out of these papers that I possibly could. So here's my other attempt at trying to get this color on my page. And nope, I don't like it. I definitely didn't like that fishtailing or chevroning the edge. I definitely did not like that. Zigzagging, what is that called? Those ribbons have a name and I don't remember what the name is called. But that was the end of my attempt. And now I'm going to put my little riveted strips. I love these little strips. These little strips came from the Celebrate Chasing Adventures collection that I actually used the whole paper to die cut out, or not die cut, but cut on my electronic cutting machine, a giant cloud. And then I took all of the leftover scraps, I used them on another page, and then these little strips were all that I had left. So I went ahead and I cut them into little strips in case I wanted to use them in embellishment clusters. And now I am using them as border pieces, which I think that they are perfect for this page because it brings in a little bit of that darkness, of that contrast that I need, that is in my photo but not on my layout. So it is just perfect. So I am going to have them not only go up and down, but I'm going to have them go across my photo as well, because it looks like that the Idaho sign behind my girlfriend and I, where you've got the beams going up and the beams going across, and then the mesh design in the middle. So I really like that look as well. Okay, so now that I've got my page put together, I had absolutely no embellishments picked out for this page. As you saw, I never showed any of them. So I went into my traveling stash, so into my category that is called traveling, and I picked out a ton of randomness. That legit, it's all random. I've got the hexagons from a paper from Minte. I have a giant chevron from 49 and Market. I have wood veneer from my shop. I have no idea what these little vellum pieces are, but they were from a little book I got from Redefine Creative. And then of course I have a camera that is from Altenew back in the day when they made scrapbooking kits. I had no clue I even had that. The little film strip edge piece is actually a die that I had cut a million years ago and just stuck it in my stash. This acrylic piece is from Bits and Pieces. I have no idea how it fit in that little baggie, but I couldn't get it back in the little baggie. So yes, so now I have a title. This border strip here is actually a branding strip from one of Close to My Heart's traveling papers. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it has all the colors. I thought about adding in a little bit of this green because it was a scrap that I found inside my embellishments. Yeah, what was I thinking? And it does not end up making it in my layout. And then I'm going to use this alpha set. And I do apologize, I did not look to see what the name of this alpha was, but I do have to alter an F to make it look like a T. So I thought I would share that with you guys, because before I'm ready to give up on an alpha set, I legit use my letters to the biggest extent. I start flipping my V's upside down so they look like A's without the cross section, and your eye just reads it. I try to take L's and flip them upside down so that way it looks like a T, but it wasn't fully crossed. I just start working my way through all of these letters. I take capital Q's and turn them into O's with just a little line through them, but I turn the Q upside down. I mean, if it works, it works until I'm ready to give up. I also have a little flare here. This little flare is also from the Pear Tree cut files, along with that piece of acrylic. And that is my layout, you guys. I am super stoked with how this turned out. I love the background. I love being able to take a plain white background that is in this sketch and just use your imagination and build a base for your clusters using stamps and inks and texture and sprays and all that good stuff. Again, I shared with you guys how to make a super simple colored texture paste just by spraying on your stencil before swiping it with the texture paste. It is so much fun. All right, you guys, again, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to check out all the links that I have down below. I have a Messy Monday playlist that has all my videos for Messy Monday from when we started to today. And then, of course, Christy's Beautiful Life 30 Days of Sketches. I have the links for that as well, a playlist, Facebook group links, all that good stuff. Kim, thank you so much for allowing me to work with your amazing sketch. I love sketches like this. I really, really do. And I had so much fun creating with it. Again, thank you all so much, and I will check you guys all later. Bye.